Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, I'm trying to get back far enough to not fall over and bust my ass, but I can't really move too much in the house. But there's my tankless hot water heater. I've already done a video on this about how to flush the tankless hot water heater, but as of right now I'm having an issue to where the hot water isn't as hot as it should be, and I've looked up the causes of what could potentially do this or cause this. Got them here on the screen. So I have found out that I've been kind of neglecting a couple of standard maintenance things I should have been doing. Normally every year I just flush this out religiously or like on schedule, which has been great for doing that, but I have neglected to clean the inlet filter for the air and water and then empty a little trap here on the bottom. But we're going to go about doing that today, and I'm going to flush the system out again. I'm going to show you how to do all of this. If you have a Navien, whatever model hot water heater this is, I'm pretty sure with any Navien hot water heater, the process is going to be similar. It's just going to be exactly how things attach is going to be a little bit different than what you may see in this video. But other than that, it'll be the same process. And then just the overall process of doing this will be the same for any sort of tankless hot water heater. So you're going to have to do all these sorts of steps to kind of make sure you're doing it correctly. But first and foremost, we're going to turn off the power with the power button. Bam. It's off, nice and easy. As it shuts down. And if you want to make it even better, we're also just coming over here and unplug it. Unplug that, get that out of the way. We're going to turn off the gas. So you'll look to see wherever the gas is coming in. The gas comes in here. To the bottom here, we have a valve. These are all 90-degree ball valves, which is great. So if you see the valve turn this way in parallel with whatever the pipe is, that means it is open. If you turn it 90 degrees perpendicular, that means it's closed. So now the gas is closed. And then we have right here the cold water inlet, and here's the hot water outlet. We are going to close both of those. Again, in line, open, close, right here. It's closed 90 degrees, and it's closed 90 degrees. Okay, so now here you'll see these two ports here. These are our service access ports, and we will have to open these up and attach a couple of hoses to that. And I need my channel locks, which I left right outside. Hang on. Okay, I have my channel locks, and I'm just going to do this. I probably tighten these up more than I need to, because I just put a little snugness to them when I tighten them on. There's a gasket in here that should keep them from leaking if the valve itself is not leaking. So hopefully it would be, well, you would be all right with just attaching it hand tight, tightening it hand tight. Okay, so we open those up. If you look in there, you see that shiny silver. That is the ball of the ball valve. It is literally a ball with a hole that is bored through the center of it. So when it's in line with the pipe, it flows. When it's turned like this, it shuts off. Okay, so now I'm going to attach the hoses to each one of these ports, and then I'm just going to merely open up the valves and catch the water here in this bucket. So I need to attach the hoses, which are over here. Now I'm draining this out in the bucket. I could drain it out right outside, which I will do later in the process, but just for catching this right here to demonstrate to you, I'm going to do it this way. Where did I drop out the hose? There it is. Now, as you can see, these hoses have coil memory, which we will talk about later of how that can maybe be a pain in the ass for you. Tighten it down out like there. Okay. Put these down in here. I'm going to try and hold them with my knee. I'll pinch them between my legs and hold them here, and I'm just going to open both valves. Open. These hot water ones are extra tight for whatever reason. All right. I'm going to let anything drain out that drains out. Not much coming out, which is all said and done, or all well and good, I should say. So right here, we have our cold water inlet filter. Now, the first couple times I have cleaned this system out, I have taken this out and checked it, and there hadn't been anything on it. But I think since I haven't done it in a few years, what may be happening is that this filter's gotten a little bit dirty, and it is causing my flow to be minimal enough from what I can see, the flow is being minimal enough that it is triggering the heater to come on, but not high enough to keep the heater on itself. So I'm going to pull this out and check and see. Again, we're going to take our channel locks here, and we're just going to loosen it up. All right, twist it out. There's a O-ring on it. This will leak a little bit. It's all fine. Just if you want to, put a bucket down there to catch it, depending on where your hot water heater is located. Okay, so if we look at that, there's a decent amount of funk on it. Try and get that bucket to catch a little bit of that. There's a decent amount of funk on that. So what we're going to do to clean this is we are going to take an old toothbrush, or you can take that toothbrush that you use, that you get every time you go to the dentist that you never end up using. We're going to take this, we're just going to brush it back and forth, and I'm going to need to set you up in a tripod so I can have a free hand. Okay, terrible video angle here, but whereas this, interestingly enough, you can see right there somehow is a stick that made its way in here or something. So I got that out. I don't know how that would have happened, but it was in there nonetheless. And I'm just going to take a toothbrush and clean this up, get rid of all this funk, hard water film on there. Scrape, 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 scrape. Of course, I got a neighbor mowing the lawn. Every single time I go to try and make a video, there's someone doing something. Okay. All right. So, as you can see right there, the screen is much cleaner. Anything else on the inside? I'm going to hit it with a little bit of water from the hose, which is right here, which doing off screen, just take my word for it. All right, that is all now crystal clean, super clean. Now I'm going to go and just put this back in here real quick. Same thing, just put it in here, twist it in, and then you just kind of tighten it maybe like 1/8 of a turn. You don't have to wrench down on it. It is plastic and it will break. I've already broken one of these in the past. That's nice and snug. So now I need a screwdriver. Okay, I got Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to remove the front panel here to access the air filter at the top. You may be able to see, I don't know how the camera's positioned right now, but the air intake's up here. So we need to get the filter that is below that. So there are 2 bolts or 2 screws on the bottom, 2 on the top. All right, the screws are out, so this outside lid will just lift up and off. There's a little tab that kind of hangs over the top that holds it on there. Nope. We'll just set that out of the way. So my air intake screen looks clean, but I'll show you here with the camera. We're gonna do it anyway. So here's your air intake. It goes inside, sucks in the air apparently, or obviously get all this funk out of here. And then if you look right here, this handle, this is the excuse me, hold the air intake in there, screen, and then there's this one screw we will take out and pull the screen out this way. Sorry about the shitty camera work, but I don't have a cameraman. There it is. You just kind of pull it out a little bit and drop it down underneath the 4 screws that hold the intake in there at the top. So let's see what you can see here. So as we see here, the screen itself, it's got a little bit of funk to it. So same deal. We're going to take our toothbrush and we're going to clean all this out. So much like a car, this needs to be able to breathe. So, and this is something that I'm going to make sure I do every single year now when I do a flush on this, since I was a dumbass and didn't realize I needed to do this to begin with. So, but now I know, and as G.I. Joe says,
and knowing is half the battle.
Scrub, 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 wipe, wipe, wipe. Now, if you wanted to, you could, I guess, blast this with water, but make sure you do not put it back in there until it is 100% dry, okay? Because this is the air intake. We don't want air going into the combustion chamber, or I should say we don't want water going into the combustion chamber. All right. So now we'll just reinstall this here, and then now we're going to move on to the final thing we're going to do before we flush the system. Is we got this clean out down here on the bottom. Let me drop it down, or let me bring it in here, I guess. So, I don't see where you're looking. Okay, right here. So right here is our little clean out drain catch thing here. All it is held in by this little clip. That should just kind of pull out. It's got a little bit of pressure to it. I may have to pry it. I'm kind of at an odd angle here. Ideally, I need a flathead for this. Let me go grab a flathead. A second. Oh, here we go. Did I get it moving? Yeah, there we go. Okay. So I get my finger in there in the correct area. All right, slides right out. Okay. Hang on to that. And then this will just pull straight down. There will be an O-ring on the top. Make sure you don't lose that O-ring to keep it from leaking. Oh! Okay, that was very dirty. So that could also be part of my issue. Oh yeah, that's a lot of sediment funk built up in there that probably came through the intake some way through there. Okay, I'm thinking that's part of my problem. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm just gonna hose this out and get this nice and clean. As you can see, there's the O-ring, okay? Once this is all cleaned out, I'm just going to install it straight back up in there and push that clip back in those two holes to lock it in under this tab. All right, give me a minute. All right, now we're going to move on to the flushing part. I left obviously you saw me already hook up these two hoses onto the in and out, and that is for the flushing here. The cold water will go in, the hot water will come out, and it will recirculate. But for that to happen, we have ourselves a bucket and we have ourselves a sump pump. Now you can buy these things individually, or you can get just a standard clean out kit, flush kit for a tankless water heater. All depends on what you want. I started with the flush kit at first, and now I just keep buying the flush itself. Which you can do. You can also conversely clean this out with white vinegar, 2 gallons of white vinegar. I think maybe that's what I'll try next time instead of this flush, since maybe all that buildup there in the bottom catch could have been from this flush itself, because the flush itself is like a silica powder that you will take and dump in here. All right, and we want that to be mixed up into the water. So we'll do this. And we're going to fill the water up to not the top of the pump, but reasonably close, because we want to make sure we have enough water in here that there is water to flush through there without running the pump dry. The way to burn up a sump pump is to not have anything run through it, okay? All right, we got that in here. All good to go. We'll move this inside, and I will set it right here, and I will attach the inlet for the cold onto this and screw it down. That threaded on there. I believe I do. Okay, so now this is what you need to be worried about. When I was talking about earlier with the coil memory, this can be a pain in the ass, and also as well the pressure that the sump pump is going to put this system through. So what I'm going to do is put this hose in here and wrap it around, get it to the bottom as much as possible, and then I have something else I'm going to use, which you have not seen yet, but I got a clamp, and I will clamp this hose in place, okay? If you don't, this hose will push itself out of the bucket and blast your flush all over the place, okay? So now that this is in here and hooked up, what we're going to do is then plug the sump pump into the outlet. All right, and it is now going to start pumping and cycling through. So the pump is taking the solution, going up in through the cold, flushing it around throughout all the pipes in here, going through the heater, heat exchanger, or the heater itself coming in, and it's going to come down and out through the hot water outlet here. And we're going to sit here and let this run for at least 30 minutes, okay? If you're using white vinegar, I don't think you use apple cider, but if you use white vinegar, it's about 45 minutes to run. So now this is just a hurry up and wait situation. When this is done in 30 minutes, I'll be back and we will go about finishing it up. Okay, it has been the about 35 minutes or so of the flush running. So now we are done. We're gonna kind of finish up the rest of this process. So when you turn off the pump by unplugging it, okay, I'll go ahead and unclamp my line there. I'll undo this hose. I'm going to take and close the service port valve on the cold water side. Okay, close that. Open this hose up and take this hose off. So we will not need this one anymore. Okay, and then I'll just kind of get this extra water out of here. And I will put this cap back on. And like I said earlier, you can probably just hand snug it and you'll be all right. I'm going to give it a little bit extra cheese with this here. Good to go. Okay. So now that is out of the way. Let's move this out of the way here. So this point here, depending on where your water heater is located, you're going to have to adjust this, but we need to flush out all the extra stuff that may be in that water heater, and we're going to use the cold water coming into the house to do it. So since my water heater is right close to this door here, I am merely going to run this water line outside and away, pointing out away from the house. Oh, god damn it. Okay, there we go. Pointing away. All right, so depending on where yours is, if yours is in like a basement or something like that, you may have to run into a floor drain, or you may have to get an extra long like garden hose to get it out where it's got to go. But we're going to leave the hot water valve open, the hot water closed, and we're going to turn on the cold water inlet now into the house. Turn this on. And I have insanely good water pressure here. So you, depending on how your water pressure is or not, as you can see, your water pressure may vary, but mine's actually had to get turned down when I had the feed from the city coming in, because when the house was built, they didn't have any sort of metering on it and just was full blast, but this pressure had to get dropped by about 50 psi, I think. So anyways, I'm gonna sit here, have this going for another 5 minutes or so to flush that out, and then we'll be back to just finish up the rest of it. Okay, it's been the 5 minutes. So now what we'll do here is we will turn the inlet water off again. All right, we'll stop that flow. I will now turn the service valve closed for the hot water. And I'll take off this hose. Unscrew this. Get that little bit extra water out of there. Put the cover back on here. The hardest part about these covers is this little rubber retainer strap on here. You get stuck on the teeth on the side. And just a little bit of S on it. Okay, so now that is done. So I will turn on the cold water back on. Okay, I'll turn the hot water to the house back on. Okay, now I will turn back on the gas, and I will plug it in and turn it back on. Now, obviously, you should be able to see that I went ahead and put the lid back on here. Let me back this out a little bit. I put the lid back on here off camera, and that was just merely hooking it up here on top and then putting the 4 bolts in there. It doesn't take much to do to pop it on. So now I'm thinking, by going through this and doing this, my reason was that I had the issue was that drain at the bottom where I pulled it out and all that water and that funk came in there. I'll see if I can grab a screenshot here, but there's a drain here and then like another vent kind of off to the side to vent out. I'm thinking what it was is that drain had too much water in there, preventing the air and everything to vent out the way it should, which is slowing down the flow and everything going through here, causing it to not want to heat up. I think that's what my issue is, and now I know going into the future that I have a couple more steps to go to maintain this. If you guys are in need of a new hot water heater and you have the funds, I highly recommend getting a tankless because it is endless hot water. But the best thing about it is you are not paying to heat a tank of water just so it can sit there like a normal traditional water heater, where it's just you have a tank full like 120 gallons that you heat up to maintain a temperature, and you just keep heating up and heating up until that water is ready to be used. Tankless water heater, it heats up the water as you are in the process of using it, which is saving you money on gas and all that stuff. So if you have the funds to get one, I highly recommend it. And now that this is all back and on and running, all you'll do is just periodically check, make sure you don't have any leaks from anywhere we touch. Like this valve isn't leaking, or the filter, I'm sorry, the valves here aren't leaking, all this, we're good to go. And just like that, your tankless water heater has been cleaned out, serviced the way it is, and flushed, and you should be good to go for a whole nother year. So I have attached to the videos, if you guys want to do this, I'm sure I'm able to find like a water filter flush kit, or a tankless water heater flush kit and stuff, and a couple tools that you may need. But other than that, costs no money to do this. I know a lot of people that will install a water heater for you. They'll try to get you on a service plan to where they come out here to your house once a year to do this process for you, and you'll be paying them however much it is a year, or maybe I'm just guessing here, I don't know, maybe like 120 bucks to come out here, pay them to sit around and wait as this thing, as it flushes and all that. As you can see, you don't need to do that. It's really easy to do on your own. So if you have a tankless water heater, if it's not getting as hot as it should, or if you just want to know basic maintenance on it, hopefully this video covers it for you. That's all I got for you guys today. So like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.